restaurants and breweries in USA. He is going to deliver the webinar on the SD-WAN and Cloud Networking. So I welcome Mr. Aravindhan. We are very happy to have you for this session. So now I request Mrs. Devi Priya, the Assistant Professor, St. Joseph's College of Engineering, to deliver the citation of the Chief Guest.
Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity. It's my great pleasure to deliver our speaker's profile. Aravindhan Chozhan is a senior network engineer at Craftworks Restaurant and Breweries, Broomfield, Colorado, USA. He has over 4 years of experience in infrastructure development, network security, and support. He received his BE degree in ECE from Periyamanima University. He possesses ME degree in embedded systems and computer engineering from the University of Colorado, Denver. He spent a year as a desktop support engineer at ACM. He has 2 years of IT experience in installing, modifying, and troubleshooting computer hardware and software. Later, he moved on to Craftworks Restaurant and Breweries, where he served as a network and system engineer for almost 4 years. He is an expert in the field of cloud networking, network architectures, routing or switching protocol, SD-WAN solutions, and network automation. Thank you, Aravindhan, for joining with us today. Now, I would like to request our esteemed speaker, Aravindhan Chozhan, to deliver his presentation. Thank you. Aravindhan, you can start. Thank you, Aravindhan.
Oh, thank you, Martin sir, and thank you, Devi Priya, for the sweet introduction. And it's a honor to be here. And I would, good evening, everybody. My name is Aravindhan. I work as a senior network engineer for Craftworks Holdings, which is now SPB Hospitality. I've been in the networking field for the past 4 years, and most of my work were on cloud networking and the SD-WAN and the infrastructure piece for the company. So let's not wait and let's go ahead and dive into this two-part series. So I'm going to give you guys introduction about basic overview about what's SD-WAN and what is cloud networking, and that's one of the new trend that is emerging in the networking field. And let's go ahead and get started. So what is SD-WAN? SD-WAN stands for software-defined wide area networking. I would say it's a derivative of SDN. SDN is nothing but software-defined networking that happens within data center, whereas SD-WAN is for the wide area network. It's between the internet, and it happens within internet. So why they develop this architecture? They develop this to replace the MPLS.
Arvind, sorry for interrupting you. Can you present your slides?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Do you guys able to see my screen?
Yeah, Arvind.
Awesome. So okay, so what is SD-WAN? So SD-WAN stands for software-defined wide area networking, which is nothing but a platform which is built exclusively to design an architect and implement networking, which made way easier these days. Instead of you going to the branch offices and deploying and configuring each network devices. So why they develop this design? They developed this to overcome the MPLS communication or the DMVPN that's been in the networking field for the past 2 decades. So they wanted to make life of the network engineer much easier and how people uh, how people uh, to have a greater easier experience. So those are the reasons they developed this. And the SD-WAN solution is a central control function, meaning you don't have to go to every place and get things installed and configure the network devices. You can build templates and build policies, and then you can just ship the hardware, and you get connected to your branch office in a much easier manner, instead of you sending technicians, or you're driving yourself to the new location and establishing connectivity between data center and the branches and the headquarters as well. So and SD-WAN also provides a very high quality user experience. So on the back end, you can develop multiple designs, network designs, and policies, which are application specific, and those will help people who are using different software for their department can have priority, and they can have a seamless latency on their application and their experience. And the first reason of all, I would say, is reduced cost for IT. So when you work for a company, cost is much more considered as one of the factors that defines the business. So with SD-WAN solution, it's you can save lots of money, and you can provide the same experience with an analog or a legacy networks. So how does SD-WAN works? So as we told earlier, it is a software-based design. So it is built off of an orchestrator, which is an x86 platform, and which is very high speed and very efficient. So as we go further in this topic, I will give you guys some demo on how the whole infrastructure looks, and what kind of what how we can deploy networks in a quick manner. And the SD-WAN is also dynamic routing architecture, meaning you don't have to define very advanced routing like BGP or OSPF. It's all in the software, and once you connect your hub, when you create your hub, they just communicate with each other through auto VPN, and we will be seeing auto VPN in the later slides. The applications, it's an application specific system. So meaning, let's say you are a big corporate running multiple applications, like finances having a ERP software that they are running on, and of course there's marketing team who has web designs and web pages that needs to be accessed. So you can build policies around these applications and have more priority for these application requests. So when end users who are going to use these applications will not experience any latency, and they have a very seamless experience on them, and you can prioritize essential services as well. So when you say in my company we use POS as our priority services, it's a point of sale system where it takes all the credit card information. So we need to have priority for these services. So whenever the network goes down, we can fail over to the different provider, and then it gives the priority of pure system as the as number one, and you can and they stay online even though the other services are interrupted. The another cool thing about SD-WAN is the virtual infrastructure. So it's all up in the cloud. Your configurations are stored up in the cloud, and they can be provisioned to any part of the world without you going there and then setting up all the infrastructure. So it's much easier way to approach it. So let's say that you are having a new branch deployed, new retail store deployed to one of your office. You can just send them a router, a switch, and some access point if that's your design, and you can have a notebook or instruction of how to connect all these things and a modem, and you can call it good. So once they come online, they go out to the cloud to your centralized hub, and they receive the configuration. So it's very seamless process to do, and provisioning all these is very centralized orchestration, and very zero touch provisioning, meaning you can base you can build templates, and then you can just deploy your templates to every particular location. So let's say that there is one office that needs higher priority to their finance software. You can provision that kind of a template, and then when you deploy it, all the financial application software will get prioritized, and they take over most of the traffic and the bandwidth. So let's jump into a simple SD-WAN architecture. So this is a basic SD-WAN architecture that I'm going to explain you guys. So there is it's a hub architecture and hub topology, and you have multiple branches connected to a data center. So the data center is the only main hub from where it's going to receive the configuration. So let's say that the branch here, then it's a newly open branch, so you can go ahead and send them all the devices that's on your device on your design, and just deploy it to to the manager or the branch head, and have him plug everything in, and you can connect your DSL circuit or your broadband or your 4G LTE, and once they come online, it's gonna accept all the configuration that you did on the data center, and then it's gonna come online with the priorities, and then they can access internet and everything. So the cool thing about SD-WAN is you don't need to have a hard line DSL circuit or a broadband circuit to be in place. You can have your LTE modem, and then you can just plug them in. So that's what the minimum requirement is, just a 4G LTE circuit, or a cradle point we call. You can deploy it, and you can bring your whole infrastructure online. So that's a very sleek thing about SD-WAN infrastructure. Whereas when you go to the legacy networking devices or networking concept, like you need to have close to 100 Mbps circuit connection for everything to function properly. Whereas here, you don't need that much of capacity to address all the network needs. So let me take you into the SD-WAN implementation that we did in our company. So this is the SD-WAN implementation that we had, and as a restaurant industry, as in the hospitality business, we have guest Wi-Fi for people to come use our Wi-Fi, and point of sale is our priority apps and priority traffic in our infrastructure. And there are business critical apps like we have data bases and web apps and web application that we need to reach, and there are loyalty servers that we need to access as well. So these are all a layered infrastructure. And then with the real-time apps like the other applications that points to the pure system, like we have some of software that needs to have the priority. So these are all layered on top of the broadband or the 4G LTE transport services, whereas these all layers are being hosted by the SD-WAN solution and the Unity orchestrator, which is the I would call it the kernel, the base image of the networking for the SD-WAN implementation. So how our infrastructure is connected is hub and a spoke topology. So we have we close to have 400 restaurants in and around US. So we all these restaurants need to be connected, and it is not possible for us to go to every restaurant and implement and install and configure all these devices. So that's the reason that we moved to SD-WAN solution. So meaning we just deploy the firewall switch and the access point to the site, and a tech will be sent to have them all plugged in, and they connect to the modem, and that's about it. That's the basic configuration that is the basic installation that they are doing. And once they complete and once they connect, and it will come online, and it knows where to reach for the configuration because they follow the auto VPN. So that is one good thing about SD-WAN. So all the hubs are connected through the auto VPN, so you do not have to have static routing or any dynamic routing protocols enabled uh, on your routing device, and then have them point to where it needs to reach. So that makes much easier for us to deploy the network for when it comes to a new brand. So as these are layered, you have on the back you have the QoS enabled for the point of sale application to have the priority, and guest Wi-Fi. You can build ACLs or group policies behind them so that you can restrict bandwidth of how much bandwidth that they can take from the network, and then we usually restrict it to 2 megs for the guest Wi-Fi, and we give most of the bandwidth to the point of sale and the business critical application. And the SD-WAN solution is compatible with all the provider like MPLS circuit for GLTE and broadband, so it's much easier for us to deploy. So let's say that you are installing you're opening up a retail store or a branch office in a rural area. So you do not have much of bandwidth to address the network for those areas. So in that case, you can just deploy a full LTE circuit, and then by that you can run your whole branch. So simple as that. And these are the good advantages of the SD-WAN as well. So the benefits of SD-WAN. So when you see why we need to go with SD-WAN solution, you can ask the question. So the first and the best would be the high performance and availability. So it's available. It has a higher availability and high performance throughput for the business specific applications, meaning you can just you can have 99.9% high availability, and you can just have failovers enabled. You can have multiple failovers, and the SD-WAN architecture is very intelligent, that it knows when it hits close to 70 to 80% packet loss, it knows to fail over to the new to the secondary circuit, and then it still keeps the business going. And even the end user doesn't even have experience user experience issues. It's very seamless, the failover is, and it's very simplified architecture. It's not so complicated. So once you learn and understand the SD-WAN architecture, it's very easy to deploy. You can deploy close to 500 devices in a single run, and you just, what you need to do is you just ship them, and they have them plugged in, and then you can deploy 500 devices in a 2 to 3 hour span of time, and very enhanced response. So like very instantaneous, I would say. So when you deploy a new site, multiple applications that you are running, and when you prioritize those applications, the response that you get from the network is very seamless, and you have a very improved security. So for security, there is lots of tools that we will be learning in behind, but you can integrate it with multiple vendors like Azure or AWS, or Google Cloud, to have more applications running as well. For the advanced integration, you can have lots of CI/CD tools and other infrastructure-oriented applications based can be deployed. So one of the project that I did was to deploy a single sign-on instance for our infrastructure, so which is very secure, and I integrated that SSO the with the network. So when people try to access the network infrastructure, they have to go through a MFA process to get in, which is very secured, and it's an identity management tool as well. So I used Meraki and Azure to integrate the new MFA process, and very cost efficient. So you do not need to have very high-end networking devices, very data center specific networking device in your infrastructure. Once you understand the design of the network, you know which devices to use for what kind of for the design. So you can reduce some cost on that purpose as well. So, what it takes to deploy SD-WAN solution? So, first of all, design and assessment. So, you need to know the design. So once you have a project, and you come up with a design of how the network's going to look, and you have to assess it with all the departments who are going to use. So once you have that basic assessment and basic information, you can go ahead and start building start architecting your design. And once you have the architecture in place, you can go ahead and assign network tasks. So that's the time that you are going to build your group policy and VPNs and other security tools to secure your network for that particular branch. And then the third phase would be the implementation. So implementation, as we discussed before, it's a much easier process. You don't you send those devices to your branch office, and have a technician or branch manager who plug them in with the uplink, and then have them connected. Once they come online, you can go ahead and deploy your configuration, or it accepts the configuration. So once implementation is done, the operational needs. So there might be new requests coming in. So you can address those requests through the SD-WAN solution, and it's a very informative tool, I would say. You can get very granular details of like what's going on. You can analyze packets through the packet capturing tool that is integrated, and you can see which devices is connected to which port of the switch, and what all the traffic that's been going through in your infrastructure. So the third one, the one thing that I consider most in a networking world is the security features. You need to have security features because network is the layer one for any security attack. So SD-WAN has some cool tools that are integrated. You do not have to go and buy any security tools out there to have your infrastructure secured. So they have policy-based security, and they have encryption protocols, and they have threat management, and they have DDoS protection, and they have threat intelligence as well. So they have all these features. So this is more than enough for to secure your infrastructure from the outside attack, and they are very real time. So let's say, they maintain a database in the backend that is updated with the latest malware infectious and malware infectious viruses and trojans and whatnot. So they keep updating their database, and when you implement all these IPS and IDP protocols, you will be good from securing. And then I do participate in my security audit that happens. So this Meraki helps me in way good to have new deployment and new policies to the auditor. So it makes the security much more easier, and very tight security you get. And the pros and cons of SD-WAN are the pros. So very easier operations. So as we discussed before, very one-touch deployment, and then centrally managed device, and very agile, very fast when it comes to deploying and have the connectivity going on, and very optimized user experience. As a network engineer, I love using SD-WAN solution. Makes life much easier, but it's very overall a very good user experience. And then you do not need to buy third party security softwares to secure your device. So you can avoid lots of buy when it comes to the IT, and you can implement any SD-WAN solution, and then you can have security, high performance, and very agile infrastructure in a single go, and the improved traffic management. So you can tune down your traffic, and you can allow which needs priority and what kind of service needs to go have high priority. So you can do that through SD-WAN, and you have the security piece is really great. The cons are less adaptability. So let's say that there is a new device coming in, new vendor coming in, and then you cannot be able to easily integrate it with the SD-WAN solution. You need to go through your SD-WAN vendor and make sure that they have a compatibility with the new design that you are implementing. So one thing that I came across in my experience is I wanted to integrate Azure with with a different company which we acquired, but I wasn't able to do so because Azure is not compatible with the edge router that we had in our infrastructure. So those kind of adaptability issues, you will come across those. Those are some of the cons that with the SD-WAN, and it's a do-it-yourself operation. So you need to learn about this technology, even though you have a basic networking fundamentals with you. You need to have to learn this new technology, and then you can do it yourself. So it takes time for learning, but once you get there, you will be able to implement it as seamless as possible. And there is no defined QoS like in the legacy devices. So you need to have you can have random QoS, but like in Cisco Nexus Gear and Juniper networks, you have defined QoS where you can have a very good quality of service. That's not some that's I believe that's something that the SD-WAN solution people are working on, and limited capabilities. So you have some of the limitations, like accommodating different vendors when you have different nexus gear, and it gets complicated when you are implementing those things. And another challenges is implementing globally. When it comes to a global implementation, let's say there is one data center in India needs to talk to the data center in US. So it's with SD-WAN solution, it's going to be complicated, and when I say complication, meaning it's not built to support the routing, the dynamic routing protocols that we use, like BGP and OSPF and AIGRP. So that's what the routing complexity comes in. Like it's very hard to implement the dynamic routing protocols from a SD-WAN solution. Still, the vendors are working on it, but haven't got to a point where they can say that this is ready to go. So that's one complexity in the design. So these are the top 6 SD-WAN players. Of course, Cisco has 2 of them under their belt. They have Viptela and Meraki. We are a Meraki workshop. We use Meraki a lot, and then there is Silver Peak and Velo Cloud, which is a VMware SD-WAN, and then there is CloudGenX. It's not here, but it's another SD-WAN that is coming in place. And then there is Silver Peak, Riverbed. So these are all the SD-WAN vendors that you can go with. So everybody has their different architecture, different features, I would say. Viptela is what I prefer. So they give more robust infrastructure or software that you can leverage for a bigger organization to connect your networks. So let me show you some of our infrastructure, just to understand what we are talking about. Okay. You guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the Meraki dashboard.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I manage. We have two brands under us. So the Craftworks restaurant, breweries, and the Logan's Roadhouse. So let's go into the Craftworks. So these are the networks that we have in our infrastructure, and these are the stores or the locations that we have our network, and it's a single pane management where you can go through everybody and see how they are performing. So let's go to one of our data center. So this is a data center based out of a location here in US, and when you the security and SD-WAN has your information about the firewall that you use. So we use a MX 100 firewalls, and you have the ports that are connected, and you see an internet port, and you have other free ports that is available for us, and and you can also view the topology of this particular network. So this is a data center. So we have a switch connected to our firewall, and then it goes out the internet. And you have L3 networking layer as well. So where you can see more about the routing that is happening in the infrastructure. So you get these kind of details, very granular, very easy to read details. I'm not sure why this is happening. So and then when you go here, you have an integrated packet capture tool. So where you can start capturing packets. You do not have to install Wireshark on your device, or you do not need to have packet tracer tool to understand what's going on within your network. You can change it to any of the connection, and you can see the output here. Let me take you to one of the restaurant and see. Let's see what's going on here in this restaurant. So you can go. So you can in this restaurant we have network appliances that is connected, where you have two internets. We have two internets. One is the internet one, that's our primary, and this is our backup cellular circuit. And we have LAN and site-to-site VPN, where you can capture all the information, and you can just go ahead and start capture, and you should see packets flow, and you can leverage this device, and you can go granular as well. So you can move on. You can say, if you want to analyze your LAN traffic, you can choose LAN, and you can start capturing, and you should see what's going on. So the private IP addresses are talking somewhere, so there is activities that is going on. So you can use this packet capturing tool to understand what's happening, and what's going on in your network. And there is switches as well. let's see what's happening in our switch. So we have a multiple. We have three switches as it's a huge restaurant. So we this is our main switch, and you can see very easy to understand. So these Thunderbolt sign says here that this port has enabled PoE, and what's connected here. So there is an access point which is called AP7 is connected here, and then we do have some VoIP devices in some of our restaurant. Let's go here. So we have VoIP devices. So we there is another project that I'm working on is deploying VoIP to the field. I build the configuration in, and then they just come in and plug and play. So if you feel adventurous, you can go ahead and start scripting your network. So that's another thing that you can do with the SD-WAN. So you have RESTful API enabled on this networks, so you can go in the back end where you can use your scripting skills to deploy networks in a go. Like I have scripts that are running, and when I want to deploy a new configuration, I just go in and start deploying those scripts from my tool. So it's if you feel like we want to have some more of scripting skills in you, so you can totally go ahead and start scripting in your API. So this is a switch, and let's go take a peek at the security center. So where this is the place where you are going to get what kind of activity is going on from your network. So these are the events. So seems like they are trying to have some Java query coming in, and they try to block them as they go. Let me and we have IDS, IPS enabled, and we have actions for like blocked or allowed. So when it comes, it gets blocked most of the time. So this location haven't even opened yet, so there is not a lot of activity that is happening here. So this is the SD-WAN infrastructure that I was that we were discussing, and pretty nice tool to work on, and very easy for the deployment as well. So the next part in our webinar would be the cloud networking. Let me let's okay, so the next part would be our cloud networking. So what is cloud networking? Cloud networking is altogether a different concept from SD-WAN or the legacy networking infrastructure that we dealt with. It all happens in cloud. So nowadays there are big players like Azure and Amazon and Google Cloud. They are the market leading market for the cloud providers. So let's say that you are having a big office like Facebook or Google. So they are in multiple locations. So you need to have everybody connected. You can't and there is not a lot of space in the land to have data centers built in, and they are very expensive to rent and deploy your data centers. So they moved everything up in the cloud. So they are all now they are all completely virtualized on cloud platform. So you can build your infrastructure in the cloud. Like you do not have to have hardware to support your server. So it's like serverless computing and serverless cloud computing infrastructure. And of course, when it comes to the computer, you need to have networking for them to communicate and then transfer information. So that's where the cloud networking comes into play. And and the key consideration when you are trying to go cloud and implement networks in the cloud is first one is scalability. So you need first you need to have a minimum requirements. Let's say that you are hosting multiple data centers up in the cloud. So that time this will come in handy, and you need to have them up and running for infinite number of hours, or you need to have a very low latency to support those applications. So you can use cloud networking, and you need to have a guaranteed performance. Let's say that there are people who are accessing WhatsApp, Facebook all the time. So they need to be up for close to 99.9%. So that's the time, and you need to have lots of traffic passing through those applications. So you so and without slowness. So that's the time you use a cloud networking or a cloud platform, and then resilience. So you need to have a base, a fundamental infrastructure or a very robust infrastructure to support them. So that's the time you can go with the cloud networking, and the manageability of these networks are much easier, much convenient to do. So it's all cloud based. You get GUI to deploy networks. So very easy deployment and managing. So those are the major criteria to go for a cloud networking. And there are different types of clouds. There's public, private, and hybrid. So public is nothing but your public internet. So when you have a hosting that's happening that needs to talk to the WAN infrastructure, you go with public IPs, and you can assign multiple public IPs from your cloud infrastructure, and then you come to the private, so which is just for the internal use, like for the LAN users to communicate with each other. So those are the time where you have exclusively designed network infrastructure for the LAN users to communicate, or the internal communication. And hybrid is both data center and the cloud. So there is on-prem infrastructure, and they have to integrate with the Azure cloud, like in our organization. So we have on-prem DCs and data center that needs to talk to the Azure infrastructure for the communication, and then having the web servers patched and have replications. So those are the times that you use a hybrid cloud. So ours is a hybrid cloud infrastructure. We have on-prem device as well as the cloud infrastructure as well. So there are some cons to it. So like the replication is a single way. So whatever changes you make in the cloud, it's not replicated back to the on-prem infrastructure. So those are some of the cons, but they are working on overcoming this by assigning a different license scheme to it. So when you have a different license scheme, there is a bi-directional communication going on. And why do you need a cloud network solution? First of all, the performance. You need to have high performance and high throughput for the web-based applications. Like a website cannot, let's say a bank is hosting a website and it cannot go down for more than 5 minutes, or a nine or an emergency. Web services, they cannot go down. So those are the reasons that a cloud network solution will be better. And then the security feature that comes with these cloud networks are much more convenient for us to use. So now in our organization we have deployed multi-factor authentication to the whole organization. So that makes security much more easier. So there is no phishing that happens when you have these kind of security solution in place. And it gives a robust security, and the people can understand. The end user need not to be involved in these kind of phishing attacks. So, and then the third one is the load balancing. That's a very pretty cool network solution that we can use. Let's say that you have multiple people are accessing a web page, so you need to have there's lots of traffic flow into a web service, so you can use load balancing to balance out the traffic and redirect them to different data center for the same data. So that's a very cool solution that you can deploy. And there is other one which is very technical, like IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service, software as a service, and platform as a service, which is PaaS. So these services are provided by the cloud networks, and these are very high end cloud solutions that you can have. Like you can have your whole infrastructure on the cloud, or you can build softwares on the cloud and deploy them. And you can have just a platform that helps, like you can host a web server on the cloud. So these are the services they provide. So very very high end. And I would really recommend you guys to take a peek at Azure or AWS. It's very interesting tool to learn and to have as a skill set with you. And what's the difference between the SD-WAN and the cloud network, and like how can we differentiate? So what changes with the cloud networking? First of all, the terminology. So in the traditional network field, you call it as subnet, routing, and then VPN and gateway. Everything changes in the cloud. The terminology changes. So it's like you have different terms like VNet for subnet and VPC for a private cloud, which is nothing but a VPN, and vGateway. So they are all virtualized, very virtualized infrastructure that can handle lots of traffic and lots of information. And the deployment, it's very different. So you need to have it's tricky, but the deployment is much simpler when you understand the technology. So you do not need to have lots of hardware, no hardware at all. It's all virtualized. You can create how beastier network you want, and you can assign how many ports you want, and you can define NATs and every other things. There are some features that overtakes the traditional networking. Like you do not need to have to buy different security vendors to address these security issues. So they all come as a built-in application. So like I deployed an app couple of days for our business needs. And it took me close to 1 hour to build and deploy these apps, which is very good feature of the cloud networking. You do not need to have all the codes. They have the codes inbuilt. You just need to redefine or recreate some of the part of the code. You can have the base codes. and you can build off of it, and the flexibility. So when you come when a request comes in to have build a new data center for them, it's very easy, very it takes uh, close to 2-3 hours to build a data center. Believe me, it's that easier, that simpler to deploy these cloud networks. And the cloud players, there are lots of them, but the major three are Amazon, Azure, and Google Cloud. I honestly never worked on Google Cloud, but I have experience with AWS and Azure. Very sick tool and very sleek to work with, and very easy deployment and very user friendly interfaces. These are the cloud players that are in the market, and there are others as well, like Oracle. And Oracle and IBM has their IBM Cloud. So there are other vendors that you can go with, but it totally depends on your business need, what they are looking for. And let me show you a hint of how our infrastructure looks like. So, hello. Hello. Hello.
சரி சரி, நான் இங்க பிஸியா இருக்கேன். கூட்டு இங்க தானே இருக்கேன்.
Hello. Hello, are you able to hear?
Yes, sir. Aravindhan, are you there on the line?
Hello. என்ன தெரியும்?
Sir, Aravindhan, there was some problem. Network connection.
He's there. He's there.
Okay.
He's there, but
I think he's preparing for the demo.
My screen.
okay.
Some of the questions are posted in chat box. That we can keep track.
Okay, sir.
Some questions are coming there.
Jasmine, I think he has left the meeting, right?
Jasmine, where Jasmine?
One second,
Aravindhan?
sir. Sir, I just saw him.
Okay.
Now he's not there.
Now he's not there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I will make a call.
Okay.
Sir, he is preparing for demo. Hello? Sir, he is preparing for demo. That's why he has gone.
Yeah, he's preparing.
Another 2 minutes. He only told us that he will come.
David, David, do you have any?
He has joined with us, sir.
Okay.
He's on the line.
Line.
Sir, sorry about that, guys. For some reason, we got disconnected. Let me quickly show you
Demo.
uh, cloud infrastructure for you.
ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க வந்துருவாங்க ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க வந்துருவாங்க
Okay.
Participants,
Sir,
please mute your
make
mic.
Sati Arun.
வணக்கம். பெயர்
Participants, please keep yourself mute.
Okay. Yeah, you guys able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is the MFA tool that I was talking about. So it's going to send me a code to accept. It's like ROTP password. Okay, so this is my Azure infrastructure. So I have virtual machines running, and I have multiple web services or web applications that I'm running with my app services, and I have virtual networks deployed, and this is one of our cloud DC, and this has been there forever, and it's been performing well since the day we deployed. So it is a still robust way to deploy, and you can manage your whole Active Directory as well in the Azure. You can create different DNS zones and deploy different domains for your, if you acquire a new company, or if you are moving to a new domain platform. And this is I was playing with it to make some NAT gateways, so that people can access NAT, the data services through the NAT. So we have CDN profile as well, so that you can have a dynamic networking for your edge routers. So all good stuff you can do with the Azure, and it's very interesting. And there are lots of certifications around it. If you want to learn more, you can dig deeper into Azure. Like, you can create databases, and you can have web services. We have for our restaurants, we have close to 7 web pages for 7 different brands. So we manage all these web pages through Azure. So very easy to build web pages, and there are other advanced concepts like Kubernetes and containers where you can have like multiple VMs running off of a single OS. So very advanced, very cool topic. And if you are like very interested in learning about infrastructure and system development or system design or software design, this would be a good place to start for the Azure. So yeah, it's very cool tool to leverage. Not only Azure, there are other cloud providers AWS and Google Cloud Forum. So yeah, very interesting platform, and I've been working on Azure for close to a year. I still think there is lots to learn here. So yeah, so I'm also exploring the cloud networking with Azure. Uh, let's see. Any questions?
I guess I will have some questions from the participants. Ashok sir, can you please read out the questions? Ashok sir, are you there on the line?
Sir, one person is asking, is SD-WAN secured? They want to know more about the security features in SD-WAN.
It is secure. So there are group policies that you can define. By that, you can restrict your VLANs from accessing other VLANs, and there are other security tools like IPS, which is intrusion detection system or service, or intrusion prevention. So what detection does is it detects what is coming into your infrastructure. So any packet that comes into your network is being analyzed by these tool, and then it when it sees that it is malicious, it's going to block it from accessing. So there is I encountered a scene where the Adobe was blocked. So at that sensitive it is. So I went ahead and I created rules to allow Adobe traffic to flow through. So those kind of it's very secure infrastructure, and you can build group policies, which is nothing but ACLs for you to address. Like let's say there is a particular VLAN, it shouldn't go out to internet. You can totally block the internet connectivity. And we encountered a scene in our infrastructure. There was a malicious activity that was happening, and SD-WAN was the one that indicated that there might be any activity. So it's very secure.
One more participant is asking how SD-WAN can work in artificial intelligence.
So it so so the artificial so they have integrated artificial intelligence to the SD-WAN, and as you know, the communications they happen in the networking, it's all backend. So it's a very different field of engineering. when it comes to SD-WAN. So they are separate, and I'm sure they are working on getting AI integrated into the SD-WAN. So far, they haven't went through that route.
Okay, so that means the artificial intelligence is already integrated into the tool.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. And one more person is again asking the same question: security issues addressed by SD-WAN, which you have already answered, sir. And how to build an educational cloud? How it can be used? From Srihari.
So when you say educational cloud, what do you mean?
Srihari Joshi. So if you're online, please you can unmute and ask the question in detail.
Yeah, cloud that is used for educational institutions or educational society. So it consists of using an education cloud for the entire educational society so that all the resources can be efficiently utilized. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So if an education institution wants to use its resources efficiently, can it go for a common educational cloud? So how efficiently it can be used, how it can be built. So that is my question.
A very good question, sir. It is doable, and they are implementing here in United States. So all the school districts here, they have a cloud-based educational platform where they leverage Azure to have their apps deployed, and with the use of SD-WAN solution, they are taking it to another level, to a different scheme where you can there's it does not only support uh, the networking. So they are doing it to take have iPads deployed to the field for the students to learn through the cloud. So basically they are leveraging most of this platforms to address their educational needs, and in today's scenario with COVID around, it's been maximized peak. So we are working on giving them more bandwidth and addressing those latency that are happening with all these cloud application platforms. It's very definitely doable, and it's a very futuristic way to go as well. It's a very great tool to do. Thank you. Thanks for a good question.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
One participant, Civil Engine, he's asking that any open source tool for research in SD-WAN.
It's a good question as well. As far as I know, or I might be wrong as well. So there is not a lot of open sources to do research on the human, but they are all owned by the big giants here. So probably you can try building your own kind of a virtual network through Linux. Linux is a good tool to use for open source, and you may start digging deeper into it. It's very interesting, but unfortunately, uh, I do not know. Sorry about that.
I think those are the questions.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you name the tool for AI in SD and how it has been integrated?
So the AI in SD-WAN, they use AWS for most of their integration, so they get their data from AWS. So that's the major AI tool they use. for the integration, and they get the real-time data from the other malware protection. So when I'm talking about the security piece of it, that's where it keeps real-time updates. So they integrated through a different vendors.
What is the purpose of AI in SDN, sir?
It's to keep it real time. So the malicious malware activities are the hackers are very creative and very smart these days. So the AI is used to have a real time data in so that they can be very proactively monitoring those infections and address those infections as they come, or address those malwares.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are some other points, sir. I have noted them. Can I mail you
Yeah,
regarding AI in e-learning systems?
definitely. You can go ahead and mail me to, or you can connect me with me on the LinkedIn as well, and I'll share you my contacts in the next slide.
Sir, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else in the participants?
Martin, sir?
Martin, sir?
Yeah. Yes.
So,
There is no more questions.
Yes, sir.
yes,
So
sir.
now we can say a vote of thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
So I am
So, I
so
am so
privileged
privileged
for
for
having given
having
this
given this
opportunity
opportunity
to
to
present the
present
vote
the
of
vote of
thanks.
thanks.
Words are
Words
never
are never
enough to
enough to
express our
express our
gratitude.
gratitude.
Firstly, I would
Firstly, I
like
would
to
like to
thank our
thank our
patrons,
patrons,
our
our
MD,
MD,
our
our
chairman
chairman
sir,
sir,
our
our
director
director
sir,
sir,
and
and
our
our
principal sir,
principal sir,
Dr.
Dr.
Vati
Vati
Sheshagiri
Sheshagiri
Rao, our
Rao,
Dean
our Dean
Madam,
Madam,
Dr.
Dr.
Parvata
Parvatavardhini,
for being
for
our
being our
support
support
system in
system in
organizing the
organizing the
event.
event.
I also
I also
thank our
thank our
beloved
beloved
HODs
HODs
for
for
guiding us
guiding us
throughout
throughout
and
and
for
for
being
being
here for
here
us
for us
in every
in every
session.
session.
On behalf
On
of the
behalf of the
Department of
Department of
ECE, I would
ECE,
like
I
to
would like
thank
to thank
Mr.
Mr.
Aravindhan
Aravindhan
Chozhan for
Chozhan for
accepting our
accepting our
invitation so
invitation so
gracefully
gracefully
and
and
giving us a
giving
very
us a very
informative
informative
presentation.
presentation.
And
And
the demo
the
on
demo
Meraki
on Meraki
dashboard and
dashboard
on
and on
Microsoft Azure
Microsoft
would have
Azure would have
given our
given our
participants a very
participants a
clear
very
idea
clear
on
idea on
SD-WAN and
SD-WAN and
cloud
cloud
networking.
networks.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
the
for
great
the
session,
great
sir.
session, sir.
And
And
lastly,
lastly,
but definitely
but
not the
definitely not
least,
the
I would
least,
like
I
to
would
thank
like to
all
thank
our
all our
participants
participants
and
and
thank you
thank you
participants for
participants for
keeping the
keeping
spirit
the
of the
spirit of
event
the
high
event high
since day
since
one.
day one.
Thank you
Thank you
and
and
thanks to one
thanks
and
to
all
one and all
present.
present.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So these are
So
the
these are the
contact
contact
details.
details.
Someone asked
Someone
for it.
asked
You
for
can
it. You
please
can
note
please
it
note
down.
it down.
You can see
You
the
can see the
contact
contact
details
details
of
of
today's
today's
speaker.
speaker.
Thank you so much for your time, and it's really a honor to share my knowledge with you guys. Feel free to reach out to me on my email c.aravindan22@gmail.com, or you can always connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Uh, yeah, looking forward to your questions, and feel free to ask me any questions, or any informations that you need. I'm very happy to help you guys here. And I would like to thank Devi Priya for giving me this opportunity, and thank you, Martin sir, for the good, kind introduction, and everybody else. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Aravindan. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Aravindhan, for sharing your experience with us. It is really an interesting and thought-provoking session. And based upon the feedback, many feedback what you have received, it is very informative session. So we thank you very much for sparing your time with us for this particular FDP. Thank you.
Pleasure, sir.
Thank you very much.